Do you feel it? The hot surge in your chest when some random driver cuts you off in traffic. The knot in your stomach when you read another headline designed to stoke your fear. The flash of rage from a thoughtless comment that hijacks your entire day. This is the tyranny of the uncontrolled mind. You are living as a puppet, and your strings are being pulled by every external event, every minor provocation, every digital notification. You are a slave to the next emotional impulse, and deep down, you are exhausted from the constant chaos. You are a ship without a captain, tossed on a stormy sea you did not choose. The battlefield is your daily life. It's the endless scroll of social media, an algorithm engineered to feed you outrage. It's the pressure cooker of your job, the unexpected bill, the argument with someone you love. And in the middle of this storm, a voice whispers in your ear. It's the most insidious enemy you will ever face, the inner justifier. It tells you you have a asterisk right to be this angry. It screams, this is a catastrophe, you should be panicking. It validates your weakness, convincing you that your emotional outburst is not a failure of discipline, but a righteous and necessary reaction. This lie is the cage that keeps you trapped. This weakness is costing you everything. It corrodes your relationships, turning you into the person who snaps at their family over nothing. It sabotages your career, making you the one who sends the angry email or makes an impulsive decision in a moment of fear. It destroys your health, flooding your body with stress hormones and stealing your sleep as you replay negative conversations in an endless loop. You want to be the calm, stable, and reliable person, the fortress for yourself and others. But this emotional reactivity reduces you to a fragile leaf, blown about by every passing wind, never knowing a moment of true peace or self-mastery. But what if I told you there is a code? An ancient operating system for the human mind, forged not in comfortable lecture halls, but in the brutal arenas of Roman politics, on the front lines of war, and in the face of plague and exile. What if I told you that 2,000 years ago, men like the Emperor Marcus Aurelius created an arsenal of mental weapons designed specifically to sever the strings of emotional slavery? This is not pop psychology, this is not positive thinking, this is Stoicism. And it is the brutal, practical science of forging an unbreakable mind. In the minutes that follow, we are not going to talk about feelings, we are going to forge a weapon. I will deliver to you the 7 brutal commands of Marcus Aurelius, a set of principles so sharp they will cut through the fog of your emotional reactivity and give you back control. We will expose the lies you tell yourself, dismantle the internal machine that manufactures your outrage, and replace it with the cold, hard steel of discipline. This is your path from being a slave to your impulses to becoming the master of your inner world. This is where the forging begins. Before we lift the first hammer, prove your discipline now. Subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. Warriors do not enter the arena without commitment. Then, go to the comments and write your declaration of war, a simple phrase of self-affirmation that will guide your battle. It can be, my mind is my own, or I am the forge, or pain is a signal, not a master. This is your first strike. This is your first step toward becoming unbreakable. Now, let the work begin. Let's be brutally honest, warrior. This isn't just a bad habit. This is a disease. It's a spiritual rot that has taken root in the soft soil of the modern mind, a mind that has been coddled, overstimulated, and taught to worship its own fleeting feelings. You have been trained to believe that your every emotional spasm is a sacred signal, a profound truth. The rage, the anxiety, the despair, you treat them like gospel. You have been truth-based true to the rush of righteous indignation, the comfort of victimhood, because it's easier than the cold, hard work of self-mastery. This addiction feels like power in the moment, doesn't it? That surge of anger feels like strength. That wave of panic feels like vigilance. But it is the most profound weakness a human can possess. The surrender of your inner citadel to the enemy without a single fight. Look at what this poison is doing to your body. That tension in your shoulders is the physical weight of 100 unresolved arguments you've had in your head. That exhaustion you feel when you wake up isn't from a lack of sleep. It's from a mind that ran a marathon of worry and outrage all night long. Your body is the casualty of a war being fought entirely within your skull. Every spike of cortisol from a frustrating email, every jolt of adrenaline from a sensationalist headline, is a microdose of poison. You are aging yourself, weakening your immune system, and destroying your physical vitality, not because of the world outside, but because you have allowed your mind to become a factory for stress, churning out toxins 24/7. Your own thoughts are the slowest, most effective poison you will ever consume. Now, let's look at your work, your career, the arena where you seek to build, to create, to provide. How many opportunities have you torched on the altar of your emotions? The impulsive email sent in a flash of anger that damaged a key relationship. The project you avoided because the fear of failure felt like a physical wall. The promotion you were passed over for, not because you lacked skill, but because you were seen as volatile, unpredictable, a ship without a rudder. You mistake your emotional reactivity for passion, but your superiors and colleagues see it for what it is: instability. You are a liability in any high-stakes environment because you have proven that you cannot be trusted to control the one thing that is truly yours, your own mind. You are your own glass ceiling. And the true horror, the real battlefield, it's your home, it's in the eyes of the people you claim to love. You have turned your sanctuary into a minefield. They walk on eggshells around you, never knowing which version of you they will get: the calm and loving partner, or the raging tyrant who erupts because the keys weren't where they were supposed to be. You bring the chaos of the world across your threshold and unleash it on the very people you are meant to protect. That silence after you snap, that look of hurt and confusion on your child's face, that is the true cost of your slavery. You are trading the love and trust of your family for the cheap, fleeting satisfaction of venting an emotion you never learned to command. This entire catastrophe is fueled by one great insidious lie, whispered by the Inner Justifier: your feelings are valid. Of course they are. But valid does not mean true. And it certainly does not mean useful. A feeling of fear is valid when a tiger is chasing you. It is a lie when you are afraid to make a sales call. A feeling of anger is valid when your life is threatened. It is a poison when a stranger cuts you off in traffic. You have been taught to see your emotions as infallible prophets, when in reality they are spoiled, ignorant children, screaming for attention and throwing tantrums at the slightest inconvenience. By validating every impulse, you have abdicated your throne as the ruler of your mind and handed the crown to a mob of fools. With every emotional surrender, another link is forged in the chain that binds your will. You wonder why you can't stick to a diet, a workout regimen, or a budget. The answer is simple: the muscle of discipline has atrophied. You cannot command your actions because you have never learned to command your thoughts. The same weakness that causes you to scream at the television screen is the same weakness that allows you to hit the snooze button. The same lack of control that lets a critical comment ruin your day is the same lack of control that lets you break a promise to yourself. It is all the same disease. A failure of the will, born from a mind that has been allowed to run wild, unchecked, and untamed. So here is the diagnosis, laid bare. The prison you live in has no physical walls. Its bars are not made of steel. They are forged from your own judgments, your own stories, your own undisciplined reactions. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a captive of your own mind. The world is not your problem. Your interpretation of the world is your problem. The inconsiderate driver, the demanding boss, the negative news, they hold no power. They are gusts of wind. You have turned them into hurricanes by choice. Facing this truth is the first, most brutal step. You are the architect of your own suffering. Only when you accept this can you become the architect of your own liberation. Now you must understand, warrior, this sickness you feel is not a product of the 21st century. This is not a flaw in your unique wiring. You are suffering from a disease of the soul that was diagnosed with brutal clarity over 2 millennia ago. Men like Epictetus, a crippled slave who became one of history's most formidable thinkers, and Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who ruled the known world while battling plague, war, and betrayal, saw this weakness in the men around them. They saw it in themselves. They understood that the human mind, left to its own devices, is an engine of self-torment. They did not write these principles as idle musings. They forged them as a cure, a combat doctrine for the war that every human being is born into, the war for the sovereignty of your own mind. The Stoics began with a diagnosis so simple it feels like an insult, yet so profound it can shatter your entire reality. They drew a line in the sand of existence, a division more fundamental than land or sea. On one side, they placed everything you cannot control: the weather, the economy, what other people think, say, or do, the traffic, the stock market, the past, the future. On the other side, they placed the only things that are truly yours: your judgments, your intentions, your will to act, your inner world. Your entire life's misery, warrior, comes from one simple, catastrophic error. You have spent all your energy fighting battles on the wrong side of that line. You have been trying to command the hurricane while letting pirates overrun your own ship. This is the central mechanism of your self-imposed prison. The driver who cut you off did not make you angry. The negative news headline did not make you anxious. These are external events, neutral, meaningless bits of data. They are stones thrown at the walls of your fortress. The poison is not in the stone. It is in the story you tell yourself about the stone. You are the one who opens the gate and lets the enemy in. You are the one who translates "a car moved in front of mine" into the judgment: "I have been disrespected. My status has been challenged." This is an outrage that must be met with fury. You are not a victim of the world. You are an addict of your own toxic narratives. You are the alchemist, turning the lead of reality into the poison of your suffering. The ancient Stoics had a name for that first flash of feeling you get: the hot surge of anger, the cold prickle of fear. They called it an asterisk impression, asterisk fantasia. They knew it was automatic, a reflex of our animal nature. Your great mistake, the mistake of the entire untrained world, is believing that this first impression is the truth. You treat it as a command from a god, when it is merely a suggestion from a reptile. The Stoic warrior learns to create a space between that first impression and their response. In that space lies your freedom. The slave assents to the impression instantly. The spark becomes a wildfire. The warrior stops, observes the spark, and asks the most powerful question a human can ask: is this true? Is this useful? Is this in my control? You have been living your life without that sacred pause. You have been a puppet dancing the moment the string is pulled. This is why your inner citadel is in ruins. Your mind, which Marcus Aurelius said could be an unconquerable fortress, has become a public square, open to every vandal and thief. Every notification on your phone, every thoughtless comment from a stranger, every sensationalist headline is an enemy soldier that you have personally invited past the walls. You grant them access to your throne room, where they proceed to smash the furniture, terrorize the court, and set fire to your peace. You have abandoned your post as the guardian of your own mind. You have willingly surrendered the single piece of ground that you were given to defend, all for the fleeting, pathetic thrill of righteous indignation or the comforting blanket of self-pity. This is not just a mental error, it is a spiritual atrophy. The Stoics identified our most potent weapon, prohairesis. This is your faculty of choice, your will, your ability to consciously select your response. It is a muscle, and your muscle has wasted away from disuse. Every time you snap in traffic, you weaken it. Every time you let a worry spiral into panic, you weaken it. Every time you blame someone or something else for your internal state, you are actively choosing to become more fragile. You wonder why you can't stick to your goals, why you lack discipline. It is because the core muscle of human agency has been allowed to wither. You cannot command your life because you have surrendered the command of your own mind. So see this pain for what it truly is. It is not new, it is not unique to you. It is the timeless, universal struggle of the human condition. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius woke up before dawn every single day to write in his journal, not for an audience, but for himself, to remind himself of these laws, to prepare his mind for the battles of the day. He was fighting the same inner demons you are. The slave Epictetus, facing exile and poverty, taught these same principles to his students as the only path to true freedom. This struggle does not mean you are broken, it means you are human, and the existence of this ancient battle manual means you have been given the weapons to finally win the war. So, we have laid the battlefield bare, we have diagnosed the disease, now we pick up the first hammer, we begin the forging. The path to an unbreakable mind is not built on 100 complex theories, it is built on a few brutal, simple, and non-negotiable laws. These are not suggestions. These are the physics of the human soul. To ignore them is to choose a life of chaos. To master them is to seize control of your own existence. Prepare yourself, warrior. This is the first command, the bedrock upon which your inner fortress will be built. This is the law that will sever the puppet strings forever. Here is the first brutal command of Marcus Aurelius, the law that separates the slave from the sovereign. The world does not harm you. Your judgment of the world harms you. Asterisk. Read that again. Burn it into the fabric of your mind. Nothing external. Not the man who cuts you off in traffic, not the market that crashes, not the colleague who insults you, has any inherent power to disturb your peace. They are raw data. Neutral events. They are stones lying on the road. The poison is not in the stone. The poison is the story you tell yourself, Napagop the stone. You are the one who picks it up, declares it an unbearable insult, and uses it to bloody your own head. Every single ounce of your emotional turmoil is self-inflicted, a wound you choose to open again and again. Let's drag this out of philosophy and into the dirt of your daily life. The traffic. A car swerves into your lane without signaling. The external event is this: a piece of metal and plastic changed its position on the asphalt. That is the entire objective truth. But what happens inside your mind? An impression flashes: threat, disrespect. And then the inner justifier, that weak and screaming voice inside you, manufactures a story. That arrogant bastard. He thinks his time is more important than mine. He could have killed me. He is a symbol of everything wrong with the world. In that instant, you have assented to a judgment. You have chosen to translate a neutral event into a declaration of war. Your heart pounds, your jaw clenches, your body is flooded with cortisol. The driver is miles down the road, forgotten. But you are still stewing in a poison of your own making. He didn't do that to you. You did. This truth is not meant to be a burden. It is not a condemnation. This, warrior, is your emancipation. If the world were truly the source of your suffering, you would be doomed to be its victim forever, a helpless ship tossed on an endless, angry sea. But if your truly judgments are the source, then you hold the power. You are the one at the helm. You are the alchemist who has been turning the lead of reality into the poison of your own suffering. This means that with training, with discipline, you can become the alchemist who turns that same lead into the steel of your own tranquility. The power was never out there. It has always been right here, inside the walls of your own mind, waiting for a commander to step up and take charge. The enemy, then, is not the driver, the boss, or the news anchor. The enemy is the treacherous storyteller in your own head, your inner justifier. It is the voice that craves the drama, the voice that gets a pathetic thrill from feeling wronged, the voice that validates your weakness by screaming that your rage is righteous. It has convinced you that surrendering to every emotional impulse is a sign of authenticity, when it is the very definition of slavery. Your first act as a warrior is to declare war on this internal traitor. You must see it for what it is, a coward that would rather burn your kingdom to the ground than do the hard work of ruling it with discipline. Your new post, effective immediately, is guardian of the gate. No thought, no impression, no feeling is allowed to enter the citadel of your mind without being challenged. When that first flash of anger or fear arrives, you do not let it pass. You halt it at the gate. You hold a spear to its throat and demand, What are you? An event? Or my story about an event? Are you a fact? Or are you a judgment I am choosing to believe? This is the sacred pause. This is the space where your freedom is forged. The untrained mind closes that space in an instant, from spark to inferno. The Stoic warrior wedges it open with the cold steel of reason. This is the work. It is not easy. It is not a one-time fix. It is a moment-to-moment, day-to-day battle. But this is the only battle that matters. Every other problem in your life, your health, your relationships, your career, is downstream from this one. Master this law, and you starve your anxieties of the fuel they need to burn. Master this law, and you render the provocations of others impotent. They can throw their insults and their chaos at your walls, but they will find the gates barred. For you now know the brutal, liberating secret. The world can only set the stage. You are the one who chooses to write your suffering into the play, and from this day forward you will choose to write a different story. So you have the law, a principle of physics for the soul. But a sword hanging on the wall is just a piece of decoration. It is useless until it is gripped in a warrior's hand and tested in the filth and blood of the arena. This is that moment. We are now moving from the abstract to the concrete, from the law to the application. This is where you stop being a student and start being a practitioner. We are going to take this brutal command and forge it directly into your daily life, turning your greatest weaknesses into the very armor that will make you unbreakable. This is not an intellectual exercise. This is a combat drill. Pay attention, because your freedom depends on what you do in the next 5 minutes when the first provocation hits. Let's go to the battlefield. You are in a meeting. A colleague, with a smug smile, presents your idea as their own. The old you would feel that hot surge of rage. The blood would pound in your ears. The inner justifier would scream, "He is stealing your career. He thinks you are a fool. Destroy him." Now, the Stoic warrior acts. Step 1. Asterisk. Acknowledge the impression. Feel the heat. Observe it like a scientist observing a chemical reaction. Do not become it. Step 2. Asterisk. The sacred pause. You drive a wedge of steel between that spark and your response. In that half-second of silence, you are no longer a puppet. Step 3. Asterisk. The judgment interrogation. You challenge the thought. What is the objective fact? Words were spoken. A slide was presented. Then you expose your story. My catastrophic judgment is that my career is over and I have been made a fool. You see the lie for what it is, a dramatic, self-indulgent fantasy. Step 4. Asterisk the choice. You discard the poison. You choose a new judgment. This is an obstacle. An unprofessional act to be managed strategically. Not a personal apocalypse. The rage, starved of its fuel, dissolves into a cold, clear calm. You are now in command. Now let's turn to the ghost that haunts you in the dark. Anxiety. You have a critical presentation tomorrow. The old you would lie awake, your stomach in knots, your mind, a movie theater playing an endless loop of you failing, stuttering, being humiliated. Your inner justifier whispers, "This is a catastrophe. Everything is on the line. You should be terrified." You are suffering deeply over a future that does not exist. The Stoic warrior confronts this phantom, the impression, a cold dread, the pause, the interrogation. What is the fact? I have a task to perform at 10 a.m. tomorrow. What is my story? A fictional horror film I am directing, producing, and starring in. You see the absurdity. You choose a new judgment. My fear is not a prophecy. It is a waste of energy. The only thing in my control is my preparation right now. You turn off the movie. You get out of bed. You review your notes one last time. You practice your opening. You transform the useless energy of worry into the productive fuel of action. What about pain? the uninvited guest that takes up residence in your body or your heart, a chronic injury, a betrayal, a profound loss. Stoicism does not ask you to pretend it doesn't hurt. The first arrow, the event itself, is real. It strikes, but your suffering comes from the second arrow you fire into your own heart. The judgment. This is unbearable. This will never end. My life is ruined because of this. That story is the poison. The Stoic warrior practices the art of separation. Acknowledge the physical sensation or the emotional ache without the narrative. Focus only on this present moment. Can you endure this single second of pain? Yes. And the next? Yes. You stop fighting the past and catastrophizing the future. You accept the reality of the first arrow, and you refuse, with every fiber of your being, to fire the second. The pain might be a fact. The suffering is a choice you will no longer make. And what of that insidious enemy, the one that whispers to you from the comfort of your couch? Procrastination. Laziness. The old you waits for the feeling of motivation. You tell yourself the lie, I'll do it when I feel like it. This is the ultimate surrender. Placing your sacred duty at the mercy of a fleeting, unreliable emotion. The Stoic warrior knows feelings are not commanders, they are weather. You do not ask the rain for permission to build your house. The interrogation is swift. What is the fact? The task is before me. I made a commitment. What is my story? I don't feel like it. The Stoic response is brutal. So what? You act in spite of the feeling. You get up and take the first step. You lift the weight. You make the call. You write the first sentence. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishment. And it is a bridge you must walk whether you feel like it or not. The motivation you are waiting for doesn't come before the action. It is the child of it. Do you see it now, warrior? Do you see the single thread running through every one of your self-inflicted wounds? The rage, the anxiety, the suffering, the sloth, they are all born from the same catastrophic failure. The failure to guard your mind, the failure to challenge your judgments. You have been living your life as an open city, allowing any passing bandit, any rumor, any piece of propaganda to march right in and set your throne room on fire. This entire time, you have been blaming the bandits. You have been cursing the world for your own lack of defenses. The profound, terrifying, and ultimately liberating truth is this: you were never a victim. You were a collaborator. You were the one forging the chains, link by miserable link. This is the day that ends. This is the moment the forging is turned back on itself. For the great secret is not that you must learn to block your emotions or numb your feelings. The secret is that you were the one creating them all along with the stories you chose to believe. And what can be forged can be reforged. The world does not change. The traffic will still be there. People will still be difficult. Loss will still come. But you are no longer the same. The external world has lost its power because you have reclaimed the throne of your inner world. The provocations that once sent you into a rage are now nothing more than opportunities to practice your discipline. The fear that once paralyzed you is now a signal to prepare. You have become the fortress. The storm can rage, but inside your walls there is order, there is stillness, there is command. This is your first taste of true freedom. Do you feel that? The silence. The space where the screaming narrator used to live. For years, your mind has been a chaotic battlefield, a constant barrage of judgments, resentments, and anxieties. Every event was amplified into a drama, every slight into a catastrophe. But now, something has shifted. The constant, grinding noise of your own internal commentary has receded. It has been replaced by a profound, powerful stillness. This is not emptiness, warrior. This is clarity. The fire in your gut that once raged out of control, consuming you in anger and fear, has been banked. It is now a pilot light, controlled, focused, and ready to be used not for destruction, but for forging. Make no mistake, the world has not changed. The traffic is still a snarl of incompetence, The news cycle still churns out its daily dose of fear and outrage. People will still be thoughtless, demanding, and irrational. The difference is that the world has lost its hooks into you. That same driver performs the same idiotic maneuver, and you watch it happen as if it were a scene in a movie. Instead of a surge of rage, there is an observation, a tactical adjustment of your steering wheel. The event is registered as data, not as a personal declaration of war. The provocations of others, which once held the power to hijack your entire day, now glance off your armor. The world has become a gymnasium for your discipline, not a torture chamber for your soul. And your body, once the primary casualty in this internal war, is finally at peace. Remember the tension in your shoulders, the permanent knot that felt like you were carrying a physical burden. That weight is gone, because you have learned to put down the burdens that were never yours to carry. Your sleep is no longer a battlefield where you wrestle with the ghosts of yesterday's conversations and tomorrow's fears. It is a recovery, a quiet, deep restoration. You wake up not exhausted from a night of mental combat, but charged and ready. You are no longer poisoning your own system with cortisol and adrenaline at every minor provocation. Your body has ceased to be the collateral damage of an undisciplined mind. It is now a calm, efficient, and well-maintained instrument. Look at the faces of those you love. Before, they had to navigate your moods like a minefield. They walked on eggshells, bracing for the next emotional detonation over something trivial. You were a storm, unpredictable and draining. Now, you are a fortress. You are the source of stability in their lives. When chaos erupts around them, they look to you and find not another frantic victim, but a calm, steady commander. You listen without being hijacked. You advise without panicking. You have stopped bringing the war from the outside world into your home. You have become the harbor in their storm, and in doing so you have earned a level of trust and respect that the old, reactive you could never have imagined. In the arena of your work, you are a different animal entirely. The volatility that you once mistook for passion is gone, and in its place is a cold, hard clarity. You no longer make impulsive decisions in a fog of anger or fear. You see the chessboard, not just your own emotional reaction to a single move. Problems are not personal insults. They are tactical challenges to be solved. You are no longer seen as a talented but unpredictable liability. You are seen as the one who remains steady when the pressure mounts, the one who can be trusted with responsibility, because you have first proven you can be trusted with yourself. You have shattered your own glass ceiling, not by working harder, but by working with a mind that is finally truly under your command. And what of that whining, treacherous voice that used to rule you, the inner justifier? It is starving. It is a ghost rattling chains in a dungeon you no longer visit. You have cut off its food supply. Your immediate, unthinking assent to its dramatic stories. When it whispers, "You should be furious about this," a new voice, your voice, calmly asks, "Is that useful? Does this reaction serve the mission?" The answer is always no. You have replaced the need for emotional validation with the demand for practical virtue. You no longer seek the cheap thrill of being right in your anger. You seek the profound power of being effective in your actions. The traitor has been deposed, and the rightful ruler is on the throne. This is freedom, warrior. Not the childish fantasy of a life without problems, but the real adult freedom of a mind that cannot be enslaved by them. It is the profound realization that no matter what the world throws at you, insult, loss, failure, chaos, the one thing that can never be taken from you is your power to choose your response. You are no longer a leaf in the wind, a puppet on a string, a slave to the next headline, or the next thoughtless comment. You are the mountain. You are the forge. You are the commander of the one empire that will ever truly matter, the empire of your own mind. But this new peace is not a gift. It is a conquest. And any territory that is conquered must be defended daily, or it will be lost. The law that your judgments, not events, cause your suffering is the map of the battlefield. But a map is not the same as a weapon. A principle is useless without a practice. A command is nothing without a drill. So now, We forge the ritual. We turn this knowledge into a muscle, an instinct, a reflex so deeply ingrained that it fires without thought in the heat of battle. This is not a meditation you do in a quiet room. This is a combat drill you will execute in the middle of the firestorm. We call this asterisk the judgment interrogation. It is a 3-second drill for the mind. 3 seconds. That is the window between slavery and freedom. When the world throws its next stone, the critical email, the unexpected bill, the condescending comment, this drill is your automatic response. It is the sequence that will sever the puppet strings before they can even tighten. It is simple, it is brutal, and you will practice it until it is as unconscious and as natural as breathing. This is the daily work warrior. This is how the fortress walls are maintained, stone by painful stone. Here is the first step of the drill. Not muchas was bruas, not muchas was brew, not muchas was brew, isolate the spark. Asterisk. The moment the trigger hits, you will feel that initial flash of emotion, the heat of anger, the cold of fear. The Stoics called this the asterisk impression. The old you would fuse with this spark instantly, becoming the fire. The warrior does not. You will learn to see it as something separate from you. An object, a piece of data. You will observe it without judgment. You will say to yourself, there it is, the familiar heat, the initial signal. You do not run from it. You do not embrace it. You pin it down with your attention and hold it still. You have isolated the enemy scout. You have not yet engaged the army. Now, the second and most critical step. Force the pause. Asterisk. This is the exercise of your will, your asterisk proheresis. You will jam a steel bar into the gears of your reactive machine. You will create a microsecond of pure silence between the spark of the impression and the wildfire of your emotional response. This pause is everything. It is the sacred space where you reclaim your power. In this silence, you are no longer a slave to the stimulus. You are a commander observing the battlefield, deciding your next move. At first, this pause will feel like a monumental effort. With practice, it will become a fortress gate, slamming shut automatically at the first sign of an invader. In that sacred pause, you execute the third step. Interrogate the prisoner. Asterisk. You have isolated the impression. Now you put it on trial for its life. You ask 2 brutal questions. First, what is the objective, undeniable fact of this situation? Strip away all drama, all story, all emotion. What actually happened? A person spoke words. Numbers on a screen changed. A vehicle changed lanes. Second, what is the weak, self-indulgent story I am telling myself about teasing about this fact? This is where you expose the traitor. The story is that I have been disrespected. The story is that my future is ruined. The story is that this is a catastrophe. You must see the vast, pathetic distance between the sterile fact and your dramatic interpretation. Finally, the fourth step. Execute the lie and choose your weapon. Asterisk. Once you have exposed the story as a lie, a dramatic, useless, self-harming fiction, you discard it without mercy. You give it no more energy. You starve it of your belief. And in its place, you consciously, deliberately choose a new judgment, a useful judgment, a virtuous judgment. You choose your weapon. This is not a personal attack. This is an opportunity to practice patience. This is not a disaster. This is a problem to be solved. This is not an insult. It is irrelevant noise from a person whose opinion is not in my control. This is the final act. This is the moment you reforge the lead of a raw event into the steel of a chosen response. This is the work. Do it now. Do it all day. Do it for the rest of your life. So the war is laid bare. The enemy is not the world, but the traitor within your own walls. The weak, screaming voice that mistakes judgment for truth. We have exposed its lies. We have shattered its propaganda. The first brutal command is now etched into your soul. Nothing external has the power to harm you. Only your own judgment, your own story, your own undisciplined assent to a weak impression can bring you to your knees. This is the law that has set you free. The world will continue to throw its chaos, its insults, and its challenges at your feet. Let it. They are merely stones. You are no longer the fool who uses them to bloody his own head. You leave this forge with a weapon, the judgment interrogation. Isolate the spark, force the pause. Interrogate the prisoner, execute the lie. This is not a theory. This is your daily drill, your combat practice. It is the sharpening of the blade, the maintenance of the fortress walls. Every time you deploy it, in traffic, in a frustrating meeting, in a moment of fear, you are not just solving a problem. You are forging your will. You are carving discipline into your very character, strengthening the one muscle that governs your entire existence. This is the work of the Stoic warrior. It is relentless, it is difficult, and it is the only work that truly matters. You are not the same person who started this journey. The fragile, reactive creature, tossed about by every passing wind, is dead. In its place stands a guardian, a commander. You are the master of the sacred pause, the space between stimulus and response, where true freedom is found. You no longer seek a life free from problems. You seek the unbreakable mind that thrives in the midst of them. You have reclaimed the throne of your inner citadel. The storm can rage, the world can scream, but within your walls there is order, there is stillness, there is command. This is your birthright, reclaimed through the fire of discipline. Here then is your final decree, the only law you need to carry from this day forward. Burn this into your mind until it is the operating system of your soul. The world is the arena. Your mind is the weapon. Discipline is the victory. Asterisk. There is no other truth. There is no other path. Every challenge is a test of your training. Every setback is an opportunity to forge your resolve. Every moment is a choice between slavery to your feelings and mastery of your will. This is the warrior's code. Live by it, and you will be unbreakable. If this battle has ignited a fire within you, then prove your commitment. Go to the comments now and write the phrase that will guide your next 24 hours. Your personal decree. Share this call to arms with another warrior who needs to awaken. Subscribe to this channel to continue forging your mind. The discipline is daily. The war is eternal. We will see you in the arena.